II Racing League on Twitch and on our YouTube channel. The link will automatically be posted in the chat as more messages come in. Tonight, assist tier 1. Assists are allowed. Not all of them, but most of them you have an option to run. Traction control, racing line, ABS, the main 3 that people will be running in a variety of combinations. Some of these drivers do take part in our Tuesday night no assist races as well, which means that they will not be running any assists in the assist tier. So Exotic on his lap. First flying quali run of the session. Don't forget, only one quali session here, so that 14-minute timer, once it hits 0, that is the qualifying grid for the sprint format race, which will, I believe, only be 9 laps. Then the sprint race will happen. Whoever finishes first in those 9 laps for the sprint race will be on pole position for the feature race, which is 26 laps long. So you got 37 laps of racing here tonight, plus probably 3 quali runs for everyone, or most people. An Exotic will kick us off. It's a valid lap time, and it is a 1 minute 41.6. Let's see what other people will be managing. I believe there's a Williams coming to the line. Could be CTFD. No, it's Fury, just starting a lap. Next comes the Alpine of Padge, starting a new lap. Ayahuasca in the Ferrari does a 1:41.9. And so does that guy. Killian sets us off into the 1 minute 40s as Zidane was very committed through that castle section. CTFD does a 41.9 and Beastie comes across the line to set another 41.9. So that is 4 drivers already within a tenth of each other in the 41.9s. Not every day you see that happen. I imagine some of those times will get beaten as the session carries on. Track improves. That kind of business. And Zidane does a 41.7, goes ahead of his teammate, who has had a bright start to the season. Here's Fury then. Teammate up in P6 at the moment. And a few tenths off on this first run for Fury. What about Greg? People coming into the pits. Aya, after his first run, back into the pits. So with Exotic Planes, Camper, Richard out on out laps. Everyone else, apart from that guy, is out on track. Padge, 41.8. Not too bad. Slots himself there in between the 2 Mercedes drivers. Josh, on his first run, 40.3. 100% Steely will be doing that at the end of the raid. At the end of the stream, we'll be raiding you. Thank you very much. for redeeming your channel points, and hope you enjoyed the raid. If you are sticking around watching, make sure to watch to the very end. We'll raid Steely. Deflator Wheel goes quickest on a 40.0. I believe pole position on Tuesday night was a 39.9, so that is the benchmark that some of these drivers may aspire to today. Smaller Smiley coming to the end of his first flying run as Richard starts his first flying run. 41.9, another 41.9. This time it's the lower end of the 41.9. Padge almost into the 0.9s as well, just narrowly escapes that clan or cult maybe by 9 milliseconds. What about Richard then? First flying run for him tonight. What can he do? On board in the castle section. Extremely difficult. I'm sure we all know about this section for now. They've taken out the exit curb of the castle section there. I'm sure you've noticed that on this new game. Certainly not a scruffy lap from Richard. But how quick is it? Nothing on his delta to compare him to his previous attempts, so we're just going to have to see how fast this is as it comes. Drivers starting to come out for their second runs. Richard, it's a 40.8, so good enough for P4 at the moment. That's pretty good if you ask me. On to our featured driver for this evening, Cod Camper 6547. Tell you a bit more about Cod Camper in the break. And he's switched off his ERS, so I wonder if Cod Camper is heading into the pits. Looks like it. Then, one of those drivers in a 41.9 is gaining through the first sector. 7.5 minutes left on the clock for this session, so very much is crunch time. Lot of debris in the castle section. Can't say I'm entirely surprised, but obviously hopefully that hasn't affected anyone's concentration or car don't know the word. Condition. Car condition, that's the one. 6/10 to the good. Aya through the middle sector. Looking a pretty handy lap, but here is the point where you can gain a lot of time. Out of turn 16. Avoid the curbs as much as you can. They are elevated higher than Bolivia on a good day. And Aya gains another 10th in the final sector, promotes him to 6th place on a 41.2. Pretty good if you ask me. Deflated, Josh back out on track. The two Red Bull drivers finished second and first respectively last season in the Assist Tier 1 Season 4. On his first lap, his second lap is coming to a close. 41.2, so those drivers around a 41.9 are improving to a 41.2 respectively. What about Fury coming to the end of a lap, 7/10 up in the middle. And stays 7/10 up, 41.4 up to P9 for Fury. Have a look at Wiggles then as he crosses the line. It's a 3/10 improvement up above Beastie now, up into P4. Mr. Wiggles, who set that wonderful 39.9 on Tuesday night for the no assist here. Killian's on a slow lap. Josh is into the pits. What about Deflated then? Has currently less than a 10th advantage to Killian in seconds. But if he can get this run right, could find himself with a bit more advantage going into the final flying runs in a few minutes' time. And through the middle, he's almost 2/10 up. This, so far, will be the first 1 minute 39 we've seen today. Will it be quicker than the 39.9 that Wiggles set on Tuesday night? It looks good. 39.8. Quickest time this week that we have seen. What about Padge? Well, he's lost a 10th in that middle sector. Bit of traffic up ahead. We've got a Mercedes of Zidane. And we've got an Alfa Romeo of Killian, giving a lovely slipstream to Padge, and he does gain a 10th in the end. It's a 41.7. I don't see why not 10-10. But you will have to ask, maybe join the party and ask Padge. But I don't have any problems with that. Safe to say, I think most people are expecting some kind of safety car chaos this week for round 4 Baku. Sunday night we will have our Assist Tier 2 coverage of the Baku sprint race. Baku is hit or miss in every way. Nice bit of air there for Cog Camper through the apex of turn 15. Looked good on stream, but I imagine his Delta will not be enjoying it so much. Deflated has retired, so no need for that final flying run for Deflated. That 39.8, quickest we have seen this week so far. If I were him, I'd be pretty comfortable on that as well. But that's not to say it's unbeatable. Everyone out on track with the exception of Deflated. Literally everyone. And we're going to try and catch as much of these as possible. CTFD coming round to start a flying lap. Then comes Exotic. Into the pits comes Padge. So no improvement for his 41.7. Currently in 13th place. Got an Aston Martin crossing the line. That's that guy starting a lap. Ferrari next of Aya. He's coming to start a new lap as well. Waited too long at the start of the session to do 3 runs, says Deflated. So he hasn't got his 3rd run in on the board, but I'm sure he'd be happy with that 0.8 he's done. Indeed it is. He is out of battery pretty much, but he is 0.8 up. Good enough for a 0.6, 41.6, which would put him around his teammate. It's a 42.1, so he's lost a huge amount of time in that final sector and will qualify in 16th place here. CTFD, meanwhile, the current AT2 champion, has a 4/10 improvement. Can't quite beat his teammate, but that's not too bad. Exotic Plane, 6/10 improvement for him. Well, no improvement actually. It's a 41.6 and he will qualify 12th. What about that guy? Cross the line, improves to 7th. Not too bad. What about Aya? He is 1 millisecond down on his middle sector split and calls it quits at the exit of the final corner. Smaller Smiley, meanwhile, is 0.8 to the good, and he needs a good improvement here to get into the top 10. It's a 41.0 and it's P8 What about his teammate Killian? He crosses the line. It is a slight improvement, but it's only a 40.0. Beastie has finished his session up there in P3, pushing Richard down to 5th. We've still got Mr. Wiggles to come across the line, who goes 3rd fastest on a 40.1. But what about Josh? He's got a huge slipstream from the Mercedes car ahead of him. Zidane Smithy crosses the line. And Josh qualifies in 4th place. I have to say that huge slipstream that Josh got wasn't enough in the end, or maybe there was a couple of mistakes on his lap, who knows, but Deflated Wee with the fastest time we have seen in quali this week on a 39.8 is good enough for pole position here this evening for the sprint race. Killian will start 2nd on the grid, Mr. Wiggles and Josh alongside on row 2. Beastie and Richard row 3. Fury, that guy smaller, and Smithy round out the top 10. Below that we got Aya, CTFD, Greg, Exotic, Padge and Cod Camper. Are you joining me on comms, Tom? And here we go for the start of our tonight's races. It is a formation lap, which should be off, hence the problems we had this time last week. Hopefully we don't get any issues. There is your starting grid, and here are the tyres. And of course, this is where strategy takes centre stage. However, I believe this is the first race this season we have seen them 3 at the top in quali.
It is.
And as the grid forms up, we can only hope and pray that no one gets disqualified. And there we go. We'll have to wait and see. 10-10 parks up alright. And Padge is disqualified for reversing off the start line, so that will be an automatic restart, I think. Padge's car has set off, however, it doesn't really matter, I think.
But I think it's... Yeah, Padge probably won't care, but I think it's only fair.
Oh, it has to be. Would you like to do the honours, join the other party and say there's a restart? I think just tell them, to be honest. We decided on this last week.
Bye!
Bye! Drivers are going round, but it won't really matter. There will be an official restart. The problem is, even if Padge insists that he doesn't want to restart, this is the problem I was just talking about. The problem is, if we carry on now, we run the risk of that happening in the feature race. So
they've said that we're going to tell everyone to be extremely careful. I'm going to put a message in Discord now just in case.
Personally, I think it's just a steady restart, just, automatic. But, if it works, it works. So, at the end of lap 1 then, Killian dragging the back of Deflated Wee.
Who's Fury and Richard going by their side? Richard gets Fury. Richard had good pace on Tuesday, so it'll be interesting to see what he does in this.
He's gone from 11th to 12th, so couple of those soft runners losing out, a couple of them making big jumps. This track is not really that bad for time penalties. A couple of corners that can catch you out. However, the main issue for Aya, who's lost a bit of places, had a bit of a spin perhaps. But of course, only points available to the top 8. 8 points for first place, down to a single 1 point for P8. No point for fastest lap in a sprint race. But the main issues with this track obviously are the close walls, the tricky braking zones. The racing line, for those who have it on, isn't always accurate on this track. So if you think you're braking at a decent point, decide to brake a little bit later, go for a move into a corner, could find yourself squeezing the other driver into a wall. And DRS is now enabled. Now we are on the 3rd lap of the race. Yep, and he'll get a big old handful of DRS coming out of turn 2. Josh has got DRS behind, just needs to make sure he stays within that 1 second window if he wants some more towards the end of the lap. Beastie defending from Richard, Fury, Zidane, and that guy. 5-way fight for 4th place. You can just see in the background them filtering through turn number 4. Killian looks comfortable in the opening couple of laps here.
We saw a good pace from Killian last season in Baku, so this is one of them tracks that he kind of loves.
Josh seems to be just being a bit patient here. One mistake though could drop Josh out of DRS range, and obviously with the DRS being so powerful here, if you drop out of DRS, Tom, it's very difficult to get back in it.
It is, because obviously it's a long straight, and if sort of the person in front of you has got DRS as well, you're going to lose a good 5 tenths going down the straight.
Well, it turns out that Killian has made a huge mistake at turn 15, and he's actually lost DRS to deflated. You can see that rear wing, it is not open, and Josh has got it. He's not close enough, and Killian has dumped all of his battery pretty much to get back within that second range. Detection point is just before turn 2, so he must have had a problem at turn 1, or maybe deflated, just put on some ERS after the first corner to make sure that that 1 second gap was there. Deflated managing this really, really well. Killian obviously will now have Josh sniffing an opportunity at second place. Got yellow flags in the back, and that is exotic. There was a bit of shifting around with positions, so I wonder if there was any contact with some of the drivers in the midfield. We'll drop in with the leaders later on when they're potentially a little bit closer, but this is the fight to be on board with. Zidane and that guy on the soft compounds, going side by side through that flat out left-hander section. Ten past Zidane. Does Zidane have damage here? Or is he just struggling, perhaps?
He might just be soft tyres.
Either way, he's lost a position to that guy and 10-10 in a matter of moments, and now finds himself not only a second behind 10-10, but under huge pressure from Smaller Smiley and CTFD. Three-way battle. And into the pits comes Zidane, so I think he does have some damage somewhere.
Just a quick one, Killian is back in deflated DRS, and Josh is out of Killian's DRS.
So a good lap from Killian. Responds well. Bit of a wall tap from Smaller Smiley out of turn 2. Got Camper well in this fight. Feature driver for tonight. Doing really well. Up to 12th from 16th. Beastie just flirting with the idea of dropping into Richard's DRS range. Was 9 tenths, now back up to 1.2, 1.3, so Richard managing that gap well there in P4. Little slight mistake in the castle section for CTFD, as you can just see Smaller Smiley and God Camper getting a little bit too close for comfort for CTFD's liking through the castle section. Up ahead we got that guy in 10-10 closing in on 7th place Greg, who is not too far away from Fury. If he can get some DRS on Fury and his Williams, that will be good news for Greg. He is starting to make that push in, but the pressure that that guy in 10-10 are putting him under is pretty heavy at the moment. 10-10 with the DRS gets past that guy who did not have it on Greg. No change in position. Much to my amazement there for a smaller CT and Cog Camper, as Exotic Planes exits the pit, gets a 5-second penalty for speeding and chooses to retire from the sprint race. Doesn't mean he's over for tonight. CTFD thinking about a move. Thinks again.
The wall slightly on the inside as well.
Tiny bit of a slide for Smaller, but CT's had an even worse corner and is now under extreme pressure. He's lost DRS for Smaller. Smaller, I'm sure, will be using some of that battery to build a bit more of a gap. Now, Greg has caught up to Fury. What we were hinting at, if he could do that, that would massively help his race out. Now a four-way fight for P6. One of these four, though, will miss out on points.
Killian's a lot closer to the third on this lap.
Just coming around turn 18 and 19 now. DRS detection is just before the activation. So Killian has got it. And here he is. Looks a lot closer. He is gaining, but interesting to see whether he's close enough, and he's not.
I think he just backed outside it there.
I think he did. I think he's playing the long game.
Yeah. A bit like George has done the past 2 weeks. I think he's just playing the long game.
Kokampa is past CTFD, but the pair of them have lost a good second and a bit in that last lap to Smaller Smiley. And that guy has lost about a second as well. He was on that DRS train behind Greg, who is now occupying 6th place. But it's dropped back slightly, so maybe those soft tyres for CTFD and that guy starting to hit that brick stage where the tyres feel very square. Oh, Fury! Big snap. Does well to keep it out of the wall. And he is still in the train. He's just lost a place to 10-10 there, so not critical for his race, but obviously a bit of an unforced error. Deflated leads Killian by 7/10 of a second as they come to turn number 16.
And it's like what we were on about when you lose DRS, Josh is over like close to 2 seconds away from Killian now.
Let's not forget this is the sprint race only, so Deflated will only gain 1 point on Killian as things stand, and will only gain 2 points on Josh. It's not that bad when you consider that there's more points up for grabs for the feature race.
started to it, but they're absolutely tired.
10-10. The latest one to play a few mind games. Nudges Greg into turn 1. Accidental, I'm sure. But 10-10 could have gone for the move there. Chose not to. Fury, looking to go down the inside of 10-10 after that compromised exit for turn 1. But no move attempted. That guy back within the train now. Did well on that last lap to gain. But 10-10 there, we saw it. Backed off hugely into turn 1. Did not want to make that move and give Greg DRS into turn 3. In the end, I think Greg is the one who has actually let 10-10 through here. Greg playing some mind games of his own. CTFD and Cog Camper having a really good battle, but they are losing a heck of a lot of time to Smaller Smiley, who is starting to make inroads towards that guy in P9. And 10-10 just signs that he's starting to drop Greg. There's Smaller, you can see, who I'm sure he's setting green sectors to close in. Leaders have started the final lap of the race, so let's go on board with them now. Still no idea who's going to win this. I believe Killian is just going to wait until the final straight, dump all of his battery, switch on the DRS at the rear wing and go for the race win. But obviously if he's not too close through turn 16, he may not get the speed he needs to win it on the line. So he just needs to make sure that he has a really good final sector and middle sector here. Otherwise, Deflated, I'm sure, will help himself to another victory this season on track. Josh, as we said, just hasn't quite got the DRS to close in. I'm sure he'd be happy to settle for a P3. Richard has done well to hold off Beastie in P4, who Beastie should finish P5. Still a bit of uncertainty who's going to finish 6th, 7th and 8th for the final points of this sprint race. I'm sure we'll find out in due time. Yellow flag, that is that guy. And I don't know if he's had a moment, a spin, or maybe a little bit of debris somewhere in that castle section.
I imagine both of these two will be dumping their ERS now.
So out of the final corner then, Killian is just 4/10 behind. There goes the rear wing. And the overtake is on. It's a green horizontal bar. It's going to be so close. And Deflated gets it by 38 milliseconds. And that is exactly the problem. If you don't go for the move early on, sometimes you can miss out. Josh finishes in 3rd. Richard 4th. Beastie 5th. 10-10 does well to climb from 16th to 6th. Passing Greg and Fury, who both get some points here in the sprint race. Smaller Smiley did really well to get 9th in the end. That guy, those soft tyres maybe just weren't the right call, as all of the soft runners are out of the points in this sprint race. But I think we have to give that one to Deflated. I think that was very well driven. So confirmation then of the points that they get in the sprint format. A feature race to follow. And formation lap is still on, remember, so please drivers be very, very careful on the formation lap. Just the 2 retirements patch there with the unfortunate formation lap glitch, which unfortunately was forgotten to turn off. And Exotic just wasn't quite his race. Didn't have any practice and just grabbed the time trial setup, to be fair to him. But TD, who do you think we should give the sprint driver of the day to? He's thinking.
10-10.
There we go, 10-10. Congratulations, you are driver of the day for the sprint format race. To driver Cod Camper. Feature driver, in case you are new to IIRL, is something we do to get to know our drivers a little bit better, for you guys to have more information than just a gamer tag on a screen in a car, but to get to know our drivers a little bit better. So Cod Camper is 16 years of age, from the United Kingdom. He works as a motorsport engineering student. Sounds pretty interesting.
That sounds amazing.
It does sound pretty good. So maybe might see him doing some engineering for some kind of F1 maybe in the future. Who knows? Although I'm sure the TV won't call him Cod Camper. I'm sure he will get a different name that we don't know. His hobbies and interests include karting and sim racing. No surprise about that, seeing as he's an engineering student. He races in the league on a Logitech G920 wheel. Favourite driver is Charles Leclerc, which is kind of ironic for this track, to be honest. His best track is Spain, which I don't think is it next week?
No, it's Miami next week.
It's Miami next week. So when is Spain? Let's have a look.
Spain is in 4 weeks. It's round 8.
There we go. So in a month's time, Cod Camper will come into his own. Spain, he'll be setting people on fire. Not literally, I hope. His racing strengths include race pace, strategy, clean racing, and not crashing, all of which were on display in that sprint race. And his goals for Season 5, anywhere in the points. And the interesting fact is that he identifies as a goat. I guess you can't bleat that.
Amber goat.
Tom didn't get my joke. I said you can't bleat that.
No.
And then as soon as I stopped racing for a bit, then the safety cars came out, so that's fun. And here is the moment of truth. Will everyone park up okay? Deflate's got it. Killian's got it.
You okay?
Josh, Richard,
okay?
Beastie next.
Okay?
10-10. Yeah.
I think we're doing it. I think we've done it.
Just patch to go.
We've done it.
And thankfully, we will be getting this race underway. We've got the worst broadcast camera known to man. But Deflated gets away well. And very short run down to turn 1. We'll maintain that lead. Behind we got Killian, Josh, Richard holding off Beastie. But not 10-10, who jumps up into P5. Side by side, there's a Ferrari going for an ambitious move. I think that was Aya just trying to slow the car down and avoid contact. So I don't think that was an ambitious overtake. I just think that was, let's not crash into someone. Bit of movement with those medium compound runners. Cod Camper, Zidane, CT. Bit of movement up front with Greg going backwards, unfortunately for him, on those hard compound tyre. Goes Cod Camper round the outside at turn 4. And I know Greg's not had the best sector 1, but that is a pretty good move.
Obviously,
if you say so.
Different tyre compounds, but I've had no to it, but especially on the first lap.
With no contact as well, that is definitely one to brag about for Cod Camper. Hello, Tamino. Yes, that's my latest announcement. The drivers in the league want to do an overtake of the month every month, and then at the end of the season we'll do a big one for overtake of the season. So I imagine in the next week we will be doing our first overtake of the month for the month of July. So keep your eye on that. It will probably be on a Saturday afternoon. A little bit wide there from CT, who don't know if he hit the wall, but obviously I hope he didn't. But yes, Tamino, how are you, mate?
Ooh, BC smaller. Smaller
Nice to
size.
see you.
Hello, Taylor.
There are your possible race strategies: medium to hard, or pretty much hard to medium. No one's on the soft compound at the start. Got a bit of a timing glitch with Cod Camper and Greg. I wonder if that's linked with the formation lap glitch, perhaps.
I think that's just another glitch, to be honest.
I was rewatching.
Hopefully it's not right at the end.
I was rewatching some of the season 1 races, and these timing glitches were very frequent. So I hope we don't get reverted back to those old problems, but
Dreaded days.
it just means that we don't really know. In fact, let's try. No, that's not working. But maybe Cod Camper's move on Greg on lap 1 broke the timing screens. Who knows?
I tell you what, I don't know whether you mentioned it, but it's lovely to see Pad racing again.
Certainly is. Had a week pause from racing. Now trying to get back, says Tamino. So best of luck with that, mate. Where are you racing at the moment? I don't want to assume BRT,
I've
but
got a lovely camera.
who's that?
I've done a lovely camera with people going flat out through the right. Oh.
So lap 3. DRS now enabled, and this time Josh is on the back of Killian and deflated. He's learnt his lesson from the sprint race. He just dropped out of DRS in the sprint race and had to settle in the end for P number 3. No moves so far. Richard has just dropped behind that top 3. It has 10-10 for company behind. Smaller Smiley and Beastie. Oh, and Cod Camper. What's happened to him? He has been in a wall, maybe.
And this is timing right now.
Has lost 5 places. And the timing screens are fixed. How about that then? This game, tyres don't suit me, says Tamino. Hate the drop off on hards after 25% wear. Racing for BRT, doing 1 Czech league and then 1 tournament. Didn't sign up for WOR or any other leagues. And CTFD has lagged out. I wonder if you can get him a cheeky invite back in.
A cheeky one.
A cheeky one. AI is on
Old
75,
Striker.
so the driver shouldn't lose an awful lot of time. Obviously these drivers are quicker than 75 AI, but that kind of AI level doesn't give them an advantage if they leave, but also doesn't really cost them too much. Yep, DRS, simple move. Josh, a little bit wide into the first corner, but with all that overspeed, not too surprising that sometimes you just miss your braking point. Smaller Smiley done really well on these mediums in this first stint. Is starting to get onto the back of that battle for 4th. Not too far away from dropping in DRS range here. Fury and that guy battling over 8th. Greg looking to get back in DRS range as well. Has Zidane for company in 11th. You can just see these 4. What could be the start of a DRS train. Exotic leads his teammate Cod Camper, who did drop to 15th, now back up to 13th. So Cod has some good pace here today. Is Deflated still on pad? I believe so. He is. Yes.
He is, yeah.
What are you Alan's up to? I'm not Alan.
Alan.
Although, you can call me Alan if you want. I don't mind. CTFD's just had a bit of an issue in that last sector, the middle sector of this lap, and it's just dropped behind Padge.
It just didn't join back yet.
Oh yeah, CTFD. There we go.
Tried him later, but he just hasn't jumped it.
He's cooking on pad. The only pad he's cooking is a pad thai.
Oh god.
Hey, my jokes are flowing today.
Yeah.
Ooh, bit of a late defensive move from Fury, you could say. That guy and Fury moved together to the left-hand side of the track, but I don't think that was cheeky. I just think that was a bit unfortunate. They both went the same direction at the same time. But good battle forming here for P8. Greg is now well and truly in this fight. Zidane has just dropped back in the last lap. But still, the opportunity's there to gain. Good evening, Demon. How are you doing?
Oh dear.
I'm not sure Alan's
Ooh,
is the
this
same
just
as
hit the wall
Aliens. Who's hit a wall?
Richard. Turn 15, I think.
We'll have to monitor his progress with 1010.
Such an easy corner to do when you've got no ABS on.
And here is the move that guy's hoping for. He's so close. Fury, no DRS. He's already passed before the DRS activation line. And Greg, look at this overspeed! Oh, he's broke. Oh, and he's got a bit beached on the curb. Desperately unlucky. And a yellow flag.
I don't know what's happened there.
Yeah, Beastie was about 4 or 5 seconds ahead of this group, so must have made
Contact with Smile?
very possibly. Rocket ship, indeed, very very common actually to see the driver 2 cars behind to get both cars, or to at least go for the move. I tried it on Bahrain. Novatech in the chat knows all about that. Lap number 6. Those top 3 still within DRS range of each other. Deflated hasn't gone for the move past Killian. Maybe taking a little bit of a page out of Killian's playbook there. Oh! Zidane! Had a huge moment. Little bit of contact with the wall, I think. For some reason I thought he spanned, but he didn't. My eyes are playing tricks on me. 10-10. All over the back of Richard now.
That tells me I think Richard's got a bit of damage.
I have to see if Smaller is making inroads as well. CTFD has finally joined back. It's,
only 5 seconds before personal win.
But that's the thing, with safety cars quite common at Baku. He's not out of this race, and 5 seconds is not too bad.
Exotic goes back past his teammate.
So we've got 2 McLarens fighting, we've got 2 Mercedes fighting, and we've got 2 Red Bulls fighting. I think the rule we need to say is don't crash into your teammate. It's the last thing you want to do.
don't know what the corner name is, so I can't say it. The one before the castle.
Turn 7.
There you go.
Counting the corners in my head.
I probably could have worked it out. It's too much effort after a 12-hour shift.
Gotta love a 12-hour shift.
Too
Yeah,
much, and then I've got 3 days off.
How's your new car, Novitec? We're talking a lot about it in the Discord. Fury trying to break the slipstream. Greg has backed off. Another yellow flag. CTFD is out. And a virtual safety car. It's probably only a virtual.
Any of them will get in.
I think it's only a virtual because he's the last person on track. And it's no, it's a full course safety car's out.
I think it's
Yellow dot coming out of the pits, but it says virtual safety car. Yeah, full safety car.
Yeah, it got upgraded.
So,
Anyone on the mediums, it's a license.
yeah.
But I honestly don't know what the hard tire just will do.
I wonder if CTFD was getting bits of lag or maybe screen freezes after rejoining.
It's easy to just lose your turn in the right corner and you just clunk the wall and you've got no chance.
Yeah. There could have been some kind of connection issue. There could just be an unforced error. We just don't know on that corner. Both are common.
No, it'll be interesting to see what the Red Bulls do because they're literally right behind it.
Shades of Baku. Safety car came out. Deflated was ahead of Josh. Josh ended up losing 5 places in the pits, double stacking.
Bahrain, do you mean? Not Baku.
Did I say Baku? I was thinking Bahrain and said Baku. What am I on about?
Let's see what they do then.
And of course, Josh can't back up the fields.
Deflated comes in.
And so does Josh.
Oh, deflated the wall! He did the wall in the pigs! And Josh is right in front of him! There's speed!
Oh my word. What has just happened? And it's another set of mediums. Oh no, not another set of mediums. What am I on about? Someone stop me, honestly. Take this microphone off my hand. Soft tyres for 1010 and smaller. Fury stays out to get third.
Guaranteed for them.
Beastie stays out to get what is now P6. So we've got 1010 and smaller on the softs. We've got mediums for Greg and that guy. Hard compound for Zidane. Mediums for Exotic and Aya. Cod Camper is onto the hards after double stacking with his teammate. He's lost out to Aya in the pits. And Padge is brought back into the race on the medium compound. So, Josh.
Interested.
So Deflated has hit the wall on the entry to the pits. Josh has then gone for an overtake and I'm guessing as a byproduct sped up to overtake and couldn't slow down in time and hence has got that penalty. So Josh may try and get that removed from the stewards.
I mean, if you go with the speed limit, it's kind of hard for you to get that removed, to be honest.
Well, they may have had to do some avoiding action for Deflated, and as a result...
Deflated was ghosted.
Okay. Well, we'll have to wait and see whether that's reported, but Josh may try and get that removed, regardless of whether
I wasn't expecting
he will or not.
to see that today anyway.
Well, I believe making a pit stop here under this safety car is the right call. That's my gut instinct.
I think they may have to pit again though.
Regardless if they have to pit again, I would much rather.
Well, if you think about it, if they're going to pit again, if they get in front of Killian and Mitchell.
Exactly, they've got new tyres, and it's not only a quicker compound, than the 3 leaders, as deflated.
How big could some wing?
Let's confirm the theory then. Yes. Yeah. And he's on to softs. So he's given up with those mediums. He's like, right, okay, I'm going to have to pit anyway again. Let's get 2 soft runs in. So that is what deflated Wee's doing. But from Josh's perspective...
Yeah, he just spun on his own. So I presume he might have locked his ears when we saw it.
Yeah, if I don't see, with all due respect, why those 4 haven't pitted. Because Killian, Richard, Fury and Beastie all have to pit again. They have to, mandatory. Obviously Josh is probably going to pit again. But even if Josh doesn't pit again and makes those mediums last 16 laps, he's going to have a 20-second buffer on those who haven't pitted yet. So it seems a bit of a no-brainer, to be honest, to pit under this safety car.
Interesting.
Tamino says Josh will pit again for sure. So... Oh, Josh is out!
He's crashed. He's crashed.
Has he crashed? He has! Josh, our 2-time champion, has dropped it by himself. What? It's not a commie's curse. There's no such thing. There is no way that what I'm talking about in the commentary box has caused him to crash. He's not listening to the stream. Oh, and Josh is not happy with Beastie, who was in AI.
He's allowed to do.
Well, Josh isn't happy about it.
Safety car is allowed to do.
Well, regardless of if he's allowed or not, Josh isn't happy. And I imagine maybe Josh dropped out of the range of the car ahead and Beastie's AI tried to overtake him. That's what I possibly think has happened. Killian has gone for it. It is extremely weird, and as a result, Josh has retired in back-to-back Baku races. Say that 3 times fast.
Back-to-back Baku races, back-to-back Baku races, back-to-back Baku races.
Very well done. Fury up the inside of Richard in turn 2.
Oh, 10-10 here as well.
And 10-10, look at that! Soft tyres, switchback, absolutely sublime from 10-10. There's a whole load of action happening. Beastie and Smaller trying to get past Richard, who broke early to avoid contact with the top 3. Killian here was pretty much going to run away with it out of turn 2 as Fury and Richard were fighting, but as 10-10 has got past them, he's now only 3 seconds off the lead. Smaller past Beastie, using those soft tyres really, really well. Greg, that guy, right behind this group, top 8, not much to separate them.
Over the back of Killian now.
And Smaller is all over the back of Richard. Smaller does really well there not to run into Richard. And in more yellow flags, Aya this time. And is that... It's just Aya, it's not Padge as well. Excuse me.
No, just Aya.
Deflated already up to P9 using those soft compound well, and if he can get through this pack really quickly, Deflated's still on for a podium here. And this comes back to the point I was making under safety car. I don't understand why you wouldn't pit under this safety car, because the effect of this new tyres is astronomical. And there's another yellow flag in sector 1. Mercedes of Beastie is off at turn number 1. No safety car or VSC. Lots of battling happening. Deflated is up to now P6. And down the inside of that guy into turn number 3 and up to 5th. Deflated is flying, and he's not too far away from the back of Smaller Smiley. But 10-10 here. 10-10 here needs to make sure that he can get a good gap on Killian. I was about to say a good gap on Gillian. Like, who's Gillian?
Killian from the sister.
Josh says in the chat that is not what happened when he crashed out. The car went full throttle into him, and Josh was right behind the car in front, so that is just the AI.
Oh, safety car. I is Basket Castle.
And our second safety car. Second retirement.
And a smaller pit in here.
Now, please, for the love of Gillian, please pit in that Alfa Romeo. There is no need.
Oh, Smaller's going to get screwed though if he does pit.
Nah, Smaller can stay out. They're both pitting. Smaller Smiley is going as slow as he possibly can. A little bit cheeky. That guy stays out on the mediums to inherit the race leads.
Zidane, Cogcamper, Thierry and Padge.
Smaller Smiley timed that just pretty well. And mediums for the whole pack, pretty much. Smaller's onto the hard compound. 10-10 Killian and Richard onto the mediums. Deflated onto the mediums. Beastie as well.
The only one that I don't understand at the minute is why has Fury not picked?
Fury must be trying to take those hard compounds as long as he can. Hope for a later safety car and just go on to a set of softs. But, again,
It's the only thing I can imagine.
I don't understand why you wouldn't box onto mediums here, because the whole pack is doing it. He's not got any disadvantage at the moment. He's got biggest handicap of anyone on this field.
Yeah, he's gonna lose a lot of time to even Padge on 4-lap old mediums.
See you,
I
Tamino.
don't understand that. Interesting.
Thanks for joining us. See you again soon, mate. And what happened, mate? I assume it was just a crash in the castle section, but is there anything else to it? Anything more than that, or was that just what happened? Very, very easy to do. Unfortunate for Aya that. I think this is a clever call from that guy, Exotic and Greg, you know. Staying out. They did have the option to pit and put a new set of medium compound tyres on the car, but to be honest, the safety car is going to extend the life of those mediums.
It's only 4 laps really, so it doesn't...
Exactly, so they've now got track position and a set of tyres that will get them to the end of this Grand Prix. Oh, calf. Right, like a baby cat. Right, I get it. Oh my word. Safety cars in this lap, thank goodness.
Oh dear, you've had a mare, yeah.
I have had a mare. Aya steered in too early into the cancel section, hit the left-hand one and straight into the right one. Very easily done. But that is the reason for this latest safety car, which will be in this lap. That guy is in control of the pack. Lap number 14, so we have 12 laps remaining, and everyone does not have to make another pit stop. That guy's gone, but he's not gone well enough. Exotic in striking distance, no move into turn 1. We got Padge and Cog. Padge has gone straight on at turn 1, and that's dropped him. That's dropped him to the very back of the field, unfortunately for him. Up at the front we got a lot of movement in the top 3 or 4. Drivers going side by side with each other. Alfa Romeo of Killian trying to get down the inside of 10-10, but no move on that occasion. Trying again though is 10-10 on Cog Camper. And
Yes, they do. Killing
that's a
wants
nice move.
Killing wants to stay on the back of them anyway.
Yep, do not blame that. Good defense from Cod Camper though. Hard compound tyres are not going to give the most grip in this stage of the safety car restart. It's deflated. Makes a bit of contact with Richard. And just slots in behind.
Imagine Tentanello wanting to get as many cars as possible between Kelly and himself.
And welcome to the channel Chicane Race League. Appreciate that. And welcome in. Big fans of Zidane. Running pretty nicely up there in P3. Chose not to pit under this latest safety car.
Oh, Greg nearly.
Oh, and Cod Camper's out! Oh, it's a huge crash. And another safety car. It's a virtual...
That'll be a false here.
Yeah, the safety car's coming out of the pits. And that guy is pitting, I imagine, for new mediums. See what tyres he goes on to here. But a huge crash for Cod Camper. Our feature driver for tonight.
Gonna go around again.
Soft compound for that guy. And for Smaller Smiley. This could be a very, very shrewd decision. You can't park there, sir. Oh, Cod Camper. It was going so well for you. You had a fantastic move at the exit of turn 4 on someone tonight. I can't remember who. I think it was Greg actually, but
it was Greg.
Yeah, very unfortunate, Cod Camper. Very easily done at that corner, especially when a safety car comes out and ruins your rhythm. But the wall at turn 20 has gained another victim, and our third full safety car of the race. So top 12.
I have one thing to say about this race.
Go on.
Welcome to Baku.
Certainly. That wall sticks out so much. It certainly does. Yeah. I'm sure you're not the only person that's crashed there this week, and I'm sure on Sunday night, and I'm sure for Sunday it's this tier 2 race, someone else is going to make that mistake as well. Interesting call from Zidane here. Does he stay out and take track position, or does he box onto a quicker set of tyres? I think the best call here is to stay out. Even though
Exotic thing.
I was about to say, I'm not surprised. Overtaking here is quite easy with the DRS. So even if you start in 10th and have a new set of soft compound tyres, you are going to make moves up the field. So this isn't a bad call. He's just going to get another new set of soft compound tyres on, so he's just going to eliminate that one lap he's had on the car. It's not a bad call, he was at the back anyway. So now 5 drivers on the soft compound. Exotic switches the race lead for P8, so he's still in the points. As I said, not too bad a call, and every single driver ahead of him is on a slower and more worn set of tyres. Exotic could win this, and there's still 9 laps remaining.
I imagine it'll be in this lap.
I imagine so as well. So Zidane has his fan club in the chat and has the race leads.
This is the first time he's done a car restart in RE, so it'll be interesting to see what he does.
Well, let's go on board with him and see when he goes for it. He's starting to give the safety car a little bit of breathing room, but obviously when these F1 cars get up to full power, they are going to swallow that gap. He's done really well at backing up the pack here.
Yeah, really.
You can go for it any time from now. So when does he choose? Obviously don't want to let those hard compound tyres cool down completely, but obviously he doesn't want to leave too much straight for 1010 to get past. And he's done pretty well. Cuts off the slipstream. But here comes 1010. Safety car restart is now completed. We've got Fury battling with Deflated as Exotic looks for a move down the inside of Beastie, but not quite close enough into the first corner.
Oh, exactly why. I mean, if you down matches this opportunity, it's 10-10, and it does.
How on earth has Exotic squeezed his McLaren on the outside of turn 2 without hitting Beastie? And this time he has hit Beastie, and not quite sure who initiated that contact, but there was contact and Beastie has lost a place. Down to P8, and round goes Smaller Smiley. Zidane is battling with Killian. Killian gets past on the medium set of tyres, and Zidane losing out now to Richard. That hard compound tyres just not quite warm enough on that safety car restart, and more damage, and that's Fury. Bits of front wing flying up in the air at the exit of turn 7. And Fury and Smaller have had restarts to forget. Deflated is now the latest driver to pass Zidane. And Exotic is the next one to follow, maybe.
Oh, I thought you were going to go for a move there.
It did look like it, but tiny bit of contact, yeah. And and as much as I applaud Zidane for his race so far tonight, a hard compound set of tyres is doing him dirty at the moment. That soft compound, that medium compound is the right tyre to be on for this stage of the race. Rip the Dream, completely agree with you. I have nothing but positives to say about Zidane, the way he races, the way he conducts himself. Just think this strategy, not quite the one. Unfortunately, Zidane now 9th place, and a bit of a snap outside of turn 6 as well. Lost the place to Pash, who is now in the points after spending most of the race in last place. You okay, Sun God? I'm more than alright, mate. This is exactly what we've got to look forward to on Sunday night. I hope you've practiced, Johnny, because I've practiced nothing so far. you might have to. You might have to carry the Ferrari team on Sunday. I think he had a nosebleed. I think he had a nosebleed. Great comment.
Exotic past the verge.
Yep, and Exotic well on the way to winning this Grand Prix. Has 7 laps remaining, and only 4 places to go up. So Exotic here, if he can get these moves done, say lap by lap, could find himself winning this race. Snacks is cheering on that guy who seems to be in a pretty strong position. He's got Greg ahead on the soft compound tyres, but he's well within the points, that guy, and he's got Beastie and Deflated ahead on the slower mediums. Zidane pits, might have some damage to fix out on a new set of soft compound tyres, and Zidane may think about going for some kind of fastest lap. You've practiced all week and still not comfy, so God help us. There's nothing I can do, Johnny. Back on board with the leaders then. 1010 started the sprint race in 16th place after not qualifying. Finds himself leading the feature race, which is 6 laps and a sector remaining. Will be a remarkable result if he somehow manages to do a Hamilton-esque performance at a sprint race.
It's going to be hard to keep Killian behind though. He's seen his pace there.
Killian, bit of deja vu. In the sprint race, was tailgating deflated for most of the race. Decided to go for it on the last lap down that main straight, but lost out by was it 38 thousandths, and had to settle for second. So I imagine Killian now has learnt his lesson, and he does go for the move into the lead. So he's not going to sit behind. He's going to try and make something happen here. Try and force 1010's hand. Richard defending extremely well from Exotic. You would have thought Exotic would have got past by now, but just think Richard is defending very, very well. And 4 laps now for those soft compound tyres. Exotic starting to feel the pressure. Those soft compound, they're only getting worse, and 3 or 4 laps into the race, in the sprint race, we found some people struggling on them. I think Exotic is finding him in exactly that situation now. Those soft tyres are going off pretty rapidly, and he's lost a whole second in that middle sector to Richard. That guy's made his way past Greg and now finds himself on the back of Deflated, who's done his fair share of defending tonight. Opting for the outside route shouldn't really matter too much with the DRS, and that guy up to 5th place now. Can he catch up to Exotic, or is that gap just too big to close? Lap 22, 5 laps remaining. What is 1010's strategy going to be? Is he going to sit behind like Killian did in the sprint race as Zidane boxes again, where he retires from the session? A yellow flag, and that is Padge. He's gone straight on at turn 3. And I don't think he's got any damage. Let's have a look. He has got front end plate damage, so some kind of contact with the wall there for Padge. Does find himself in 10th, and no safety car as a result. Oh, slide through turn 15 for 1010. Controls it relatively well. In the back, you see Exotic clattering into the turn 15 wall as well. That wall is getting a lot of attention. And as a result, that guy has closed a whole second this lap. That guy is the one on the move, but is he too far away to challenge for the podium, I wonder? Killian, at the moment, is starting to drop 1010, and Richard is coming back into this race. The medium set of tyres seems to be the right call. And if that is the case, then we might see Deflated starting to fight back on these soft runners around him. Good battle here for 4th. That guy leads Exotic, Deflated and Greg. And Richard is past 1010. Oh, but that's a huge contact with the wall. Controlled slide, just like we saw 1010 and Exotic at turn 15 last lap around. Killian is now running away with this. The more mistakes that are made behind him, the bigger gap he is going to pull. Lead now 2.8 seconds. That guy's starting to close on Richard and 1010 the more they battle. I'm not going to count that guy out of a possible podium here as Richard... Big mistake and he's spun in the castle section. What looked like an almost certain podium for Richard, who has certainly deserved it, let's be honest. And a spin in the castle section has ruined all chances of a podium. He now finds himself in 9th. Moreover than that, 1010 has lost ground and that guy is all over the back of him. Exotic does not have the DRS on that guy, which means he could be under pressure from Deflated and Greg and VRA Beastie, who's coming back into this race. Final stint drama here at Baku. Exotic has lost 2 places. Greg has gained 2 places and goes up to 4th. Great double overtake there from Greg. Could find that on the overtake of the month. That guy passed 1010 as well into the first corner. Killian should comfortably win this, bar any mistakes, spins, damage or time penalties. Padge with wing damage is getting reeled in by Fury here, so it might be a last lap battle between them two for the final point of this Grand Prix. But as for P2, well, there's a battle from P2 all the way down to P7 for the podium. 2 podium spots available here. And I don't want to predict who's going to get it, because, to be honest, anyone could. I have to say, I've been very impressed with that guy, where other drivers have struggled on that soft compound tyres. As they've got older, it seems that that guy and Greg have just got quicker. The more they wear, the quicker they get, it would seem. So all credit to them. 1010 is out of DRS range. I wonder if 1010, when Richard span, I wonder if maybe there was some contact. And I wonder if 1010 has damage that he's managing. But here comes Greg. 1010's got the DRS, so no pace advantage for Greg.
Oh, a bit exotic round.
The spin at turn 1. Richard gets a free place. I'm sure he'd be happy about that. Killian leads. 2 laps remaining. You gave me the commentator's curse when you said I had any DNFs in IRL yet. No, no such thing. God, camper. We all know there's no such thing as a commentator's curse. Killian leads that guy by 5.4 seconds. Somehow that guy is still closing on the race win. The race leads, but Killian's got this one under control. 1010 out of DRS range now. The battle is for the podium between 1010, Greg and Deflated. Beastie has lost a bit of ground but has smaller for company in the battle for P6. Richard P8, Exotic in 9th, Padge in P10, but is getting reeled in, as we said earlier, from Fury. That move could happen in the next lap or so before the end of this Grand Prix. Could even see a move on the final straight at the end of the Grand Prix. But so far DRS Train is living up to its expectation. Greg, if he gets a podium here, he will equal the current record for most podiums without a win in the league. Currently has 6 podiums to his name without a race win. Last Sunday I took the record myself with 7 podiums without a win. I think Greg wants his record back, Tom. Softs are now dead. That guy's lost a whole second to Killian. 10-10 doesn't need to overtake that guy for a podium, just needs to hold off Greg. But if 10-10 is nursing some damage from an earlier incident with Richard in the castle section, might find himself struggling in this final sector. Killian coming round turn 15. Well, Killian got pole position in season 4. But no podium so far for Killian in Baku until today. Wins the feature race and finishes second in the sprint race. Glorious result. That guy beats Greg to the final podium slot if 10-10 overtakes him on the line. Deflated has to settle for P5, smaller P6, Richard P7, and Beastie has ran out of fuel on the line. Ends up getting nipped by Exotic, and here is the drag race we were talking about. Padge and Fury. It's close, and I think Padge has just got him. Indeed he has. Fury just has to settle for 11th and doesn't get a point on this occasion. Well, that was extremely difficult for the drivers. Greg's happy, didn't get the podium that he wanted, but does get his best result in 81 this season of 4th place. Killian has reigned supreme in Baku, a 2nd and a 1st. The only thing stopping him getting full points was about 38 thousandths of a second. 10-10, fantastic race from him tonight. Started last at the sprint race, got 6th, and then improved to P2. Deflated with a solid 18 points here tonight, but just what could have been if things are a little bit different for him, taking the win in the sprint race. That guy with a fantastic feature race gets on the podium for the first time this season. Greg, as we said, fantastic race here tonight. So, TD, who is going to be driver of the day for the feature race? There we go then. Done and dusted. We got 10-10, who is our sprint driver of the day, and Killian is our feature driver of the day. So well done to them too, and a special.
Sherry by 0.013 before.
Wow, 13 milliseconds. That is 2 dragline races we've seen tonight. Well, in a race that was overshadowed by a few glitches and a few safety cars, Killian does take points in Baku. Our championship leader George wasn't here, so that gap is reducing at the top of the stands. You have to join us next week to find out how much it's dropped by.